Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to open up and disassemble this MacBook Air model A1932. So first what you're going to want, let's go over all of them. You're going to need a P5 or Pentalobe 5 or 1.2. Okay, and then you'll need a T8 to remove the hinge screws. You also need a P2 or Pentalobe 0.8, and you'll need a T5 Torx 5. Alright, so first we're going to use the Pentalobe. We're also going to need a T3, so Torx 3 screwdriver. Okay, so take the Pentalobe screwdriver and remove all the screws from the bottom. So there's 4 along the top here near the hinge, 2 along the sides, and then 4 more down here. Keep the screws in order. They can be different sizes and shapes, and it's always a good idea to put back the same screw where you took it from. Okay, so remove all these screws. Alright. So the back screws look to be about the same length. The middle ones might be a little bit longer, or it might just be my eyes playing tricks on me. And the side ones are much shorter. Okay, I'm going to have to set all these screws aside. So when you do this, you want to make sure your MacBook is turned off. Alright, then after you remove all the screws, you should be able to lift the cover up from the back like this, go along the side, and then pop up the clips. Make sure you don't pull it too high. I'm putting my arm over so I don't accidentally pull it too high. Okay, just in case there's something underneath, just like that. Alright, then slowly lift the cover off. There we go. So there's nothing underneath. You can just rip it off and it's okay. That's what the bottom looks like. It's kind of dusty. I'll have to clean it later. I don't know what, oh yeah, there's the fan here. So the way this fan works, there's these little rubber things that kind of help try to seal it off, and it's supposed to pull the air through the side this way. But it's kind of not really good design in my opinion. Anyways, we're going to have to first disconnect the battery. So the battery is underneath this cable. So what you want to do, I don't know if you'll be able to see, I don't have my usual setup so I can't see what I'm recording, but hopefully it's in view. You'll pull up this this tab. I believe I have another video showing this same exact model or very similar. So if this one's not good enough, try and check for my other one. Alright, what you do, there's this battery. Let's see if I can see it. So there's this slightly raised bit here. What you want to do is, I kind of just use my fingernail and then kind of pull on it like left to right or up and down so that it's slowly basically wiggling the cable out. Okay. Once the cable's loose, it will come out just like this. If you want, you can use tweezers to help pull it out because there's not much slack. But I pull this and then kind of, there we go, just like that. Alright, and then just take the battery connector out and leave it up like that. Once you do that, you want to press and hold this little gold button here. If you can see it, let me try and show you. So this little gold button there, you want to press and hold that to drain any power from the board. Do that for about 10 to 15 seconds. I use my fingernail. You can use a tool. Just use something like plastic. Don't use metal or you can damage it. Okay, about 10 to 15 seconds, all you need. Alright, so there we go. Alright, next we're going to remove this little board here. And these are the wireless antennas, so we're going to have to switch to a T3. Okay, so we'll get the Torx 3 screwdriver, and we'll remove that. Again, you want to keep these screws in order, because they are different sizes, shapes, and lengths. You don't want to get them all mixed up, and then if you put the wrong one back, you can cause some damage. Just like this. Alright, grab the metal plate, set that aside as well. I just put them on my desk in the order I'm taking them out, in the pattern I'm taking it out, so I know. And then to remove the antennas, you just go underneath the tail like this, and then just pop it up, just like that. Okay. Want to make sure you're going from the tail. You don't want to try and pry from the front, or you can damage it. Alright, so next we're going to remove all these little T3 screws here. So there's this little bracket up here, just remove those. That, then remove these. Okay. And then remove the middle bracket here. This is holding down the LCD or LVDS cable. Okay, that. Alright, get that bracket, set it aside as well. Alright, so now after you do that, you want to pop out the LCD or LVDS connector. So to do that, I just get my fingernail underneath this part. You can use a little plastic pry tool if you want, and then you just pop this up. Okay, let me see here. Let's get underneath here. Okay, and then slightly bend the cable back. You don't want to bend it too far back or you can damage it. Alright, and that should be all the T5 screws. You don't need to pop up these because those are part of the other board. But we will have to transfer the metal brackets over. Okay, and then I believe these are T5 screws, so let's switch to the T5 screwdriver. So Torx 5, and let's remove all these screws. So you've got 2 screws here, 2 screws here. Oh, I forgot this model, you actually don't need the pentalobe 2 or 0.8, okay? So you don't need the small pentalobe screwdriver. Okay. Take out that one, take out this one. Alright, and just go along. Let me double check here, I forget if I have to remove. Okay, so these are okay, those aren't actually screws. So there's 2 towards the center too. Remove those. Okay. Move that one as well. Alright, so once you remove those 2 screws in the center, this board thing will come loose. But we have to remove this first because the wireless antenna board is on top. Okay. Alright, so we got all of these screws out. Okay. Once you get all those screws out, the 6 screws along the top, we're going to have to lift this wireless antenna out. So I lift this up like this. Okay. And then try and grab closer to the center. Once you get in there, be careful because this board will get like pulled up. Okay. So lift this up. Alright. Go from the other side as well if it's stuck. Okay. And then you can pull the wireless antennas out, okay? Once you get it all up, flip this over and then make sure to thread this board through just like that. And that's how you get the wireless antennas out. So if for some reason your wireless antenna got damaged, you can actually replace this. But if this breaks, you're gonna need some help because that you need to solder it on, and that's a difficult thing. Alright, so there we go, we got this board out. So now what we're going to need to do is take the hinge screws out, and that's using a T8 screwdriver. Okay, let me set my other screwdrivers aside. Okay, alright, so grab the T8 screwdriver, and what I like to do, usually I wouldn't take these out first, but I'm just going to loosen them, okay, because they are held in there pretty strong. As you can see, it's strong enough that it turns the whole laptop. Okay, hopefully you can see everything that I'm working on. So I'm just slightly loosening them. After you do that, let me see if I can get it in view, but you want to open up the MacBook, right? So another thing I should have mentioned is after removing the battery, you can press and hold the power button for about 10 to 15 seconds, as well as that little button, and that will help drain it some more, but I didn't mention that earlier, so hopefully you at least did the golden cable. Anyways, open the screen all the way. Okay, let me zoom out so you can see. And then you hang this off the edge of your desk. And then while it's hanging like that, you can take out the other, or you can take out the hinge screws completely. Okay. Just like this. Alright. So just take out all 6 screws, and then we should be able to lift the screen out. Alright, there we go. Once you take out all 6 screws, you can let the screen drop to 90 degrees and then just lift it up. You might have to wiggle it a little back and forth to get the hinge to go out, but there we go. And that's the old screen. This one had a little dent in it, or a nick in it, so we'll set that aside. Oops. Get the replacement screen. Okay. Alright, and what you want to do, make sure this board piece stays up. Oh, and you want to also make sure to open up the hinges all the way. So I just use the T8 screwdriver in the closest to the hinge screw. And then don't push it all the way, because then you can damage the screen, but just slightly put the screwdriver in. And then you can use that to twist the hinge open. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Oops. Sorry. Just like that, and then use that to twist the hinge open. Sorry, I don't know if that was in view of the camera. Hopefully it was. Alright, anyways, let's see here. That's in view. Okay, so now you want to hold this board up and also hold this cable out of the way. Alright, or slide that into place just like that, and then slowly drop the screen in. You might have to tilt it forward and back again, just like when you were removing it. Alright, then you can hold this up. What I like to do is put the middle screws in first, or the ones closest to the hinge. Right. Just like this on both sides. Tighten it down a little bit, not too tight, because we're going to have to slowly close this. Okay. So once you get the screws in, slowly close the screen. Make sure it's not getting caught anywhere. If it gets stuck, you want to check the screws and loosen them. Okay, so right now it's getting a little bit, so we're going to loosen this a tiny bit. And this allows the hinge to move around a little. Okay, so there, once we get that in, you want to line up the corners. So just like use your 2 fingers like this on both sides and kind of make sure it's all lined up. Okay. Just like that. Once you get it all lined up, you can tighten the screw all the way down. Just like that. Alright, so now that we got the screws all the way tightened down, you can put back the other screws. Okay. Make sure that they're nice and tight. You don't want these screws coming loose. If you have, you can add some thread locker as well, the blue or red type. Usually use the red type, it'll hold a lot better. Okay, I don't have it with me right now, so I'll add it later, but just put this to hold it right now. There we go. Okay, so now we got all the hinge screws in. We're gonna flip this back over. Let me actually zoom in a little bit. Since everything is done up here, maybe I'll actually zoom in a lot more and then just show that. If we can. Okay, that's probably as good as it can go. Alright, so now we're going to have to put the antennas back in. Again, make sure that this video cable board is on top. Alright, so to put this back in, just thread this board through. Okay, so lift it up. Thread the board through the hole in the antennas, just like that. Again, you have to make sure this cable stays on top. Okay, this part might be a little bit tricky. Alright. And then pull this up, just like that. Okay, get the antennas lined up, and then The tricky part is on the bottom of this antenna piece, it has a little thing that latches down, so you have to kind of make sure it lines up right, and then you should be able to push it down. And if you did it right, if you try and pull this back up, it should hold in. It doesn't just fall out. So here you can see if I just try and pull this there, it unclipped. So you want to make sure that these clip back down, okay? So that it doesn't just come out easily. There you go, just like that. Okay, so first we can actually, we don't need the T8 screwdriver anymore, but first we can put back the T5 screws. Okay, so grab the T5 screwdriver, and then we'll put these screws in. And usually what I'll do is I'll put them in loosely first, okay? You don't want to tighten it all the way down, just put it in loosely. So I'll start with the 2 outer screws here. Alright, just like that. Then you can tighten it down. Make sure you hold it down as you tighten it. Alright, and now we'll get the T5 screws for the center of this board. Alright, again, put it loosely at first until you get both screws in. That ensures that you have it completely lined up, and then you can tighten it down just like that. Alright, now we want to snap this connector back in place. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but just make sure it's lined up. You might have to push it the top down a little bit, like down towards the center, and then just make sure it's pushed in. You'll know it's pushed in because it'll hold itself down, and then if you try and pull it up, it will stay there. Alright, so there we go. Alright, now we want to put back all the T3 screws. Okay, so grab the T3 screwdriver. And we'll first put back the little cover for that one. Okay. Okay. Just like that. Put it loosely again. Next one. Yeah, I'm going to have to clean off the dust before I put it away, but I'll do that later since I don't have my toothbrush to brush it off here. Alright, then we'll put these little brackets on these little connectors. Okay, just grab them, get the screw in place. Again, put it loosely, you don't want to tighten it right away. Okay, and the next one, same thing. Just like that. Grab the other bracket, do the same thing. Okay. I don't know if I have a... I'm gonna have to get a charter to show the next step, if assuming that the screen is the only issue and it works. Okay, so let's see here. Now we put the wireless antennas in. Make sure that they're completely lined up before you press it down. Okay. The way you know is if you try and move the antenna around, it will stay in place. So if I try and move it around with my fingernail, it stays, and then I just push it down. Okay. It's very important you have it lined up before you press it down, or you can really damage these antennas. They're very fragile. Okay, so there we go. We got those antennas down. Get the little metal plate on top. Grab the other 2 screws. Okay, put it in loosely at first. Get the second one. Same thing. Alright, and then we have to put the battery back in. It's a little tricky. You don't want it to go in at too much of an angle. So make sure what you do, lift up this plastic again. Be careful with the pins if you're using a metal tool like I did, because inside here you don't want to touch those with the metal tool. Alright, so what I do is I use my fingernail to pull back the front lip like this, and then I just get it into the edge, and just like that. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Okay, and then just slide it in. So this edge, there's no like underneath part, so it actually goes flush with the side edges of this silver part. Once you get that, you can push that all the way in. Push this little tab back over. And again, I'm gonna have to clean this, so I'll be back actually. Let me pause the video. Alright, so I'm back. So I brushed off the inside already and then blew the dust out. I just used like an old toothbrush, or, well, not an old like used toothbrush, but and then use like one of this. I use this thing to blow the dust off. Okay, so there we go. And then you just put the cover back on. So just line it up, click it back down. I'll put the screws after testing it. So what you want to do, open it up. Usually you're going to have to plug it in the first time. So right now it's dead. Okay, so we plug the MacBook in, and then, oops, let me zoom out. Then the way that you know it's working, you try and press this, and now I feel that the trackpad's actually clicking. So that means it should be waking up. Let's see, there we go. I see the Apple logo, so it looks like we're good. And usually after replacing any major components like that, I would recommend doing a PRAM or SMC reset. So to do that, I think the SMC reset doesn't work on the newer ones, but usually it's Control Option Shift. You usually do this while the computer's shut down, and then you press the power button and the screen would go off. But on these newer models, it doesn't do that. So we're just going to do the PRAM reset. So to do the PRAM reset, what you do is you restart the computer, or you just turn it on, and then Command Option PNR on boot. You should see the Apple, and then it'll turn off, and then the Apple will come back again. After the Apple turns off, just let go of the keys. I don't know if I can, let me actually show that if I can. So right now the Apple turned itself off. I'm waiting for it to come back. All right, so let me do that real quick if I can. Oh, actually you probably saw that already. All right, so that's pretty much it. So hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, like and subscribe, help others find my videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Now you can just peel off all of this. Okay. I don't know if the customer wanted to do that, but I did it. All right, let's see here. And then peel off the top. All right, and then we're gonna have to put back all the screws. So let's see here. And then we'll just put back all the pentalobe screws, okay? Oops, switch to the pentalobe screwdriver. But that's pretty much all there is to it, so we'll put back those. Again, like and subscribe, help others find my videos. You're welcome to stay while I put back the rest of the screws, but that's pretty much all there is to it. Okay. Oops. All right. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.